Well, look what I went and did. I bought another motorcycle. I consider myself rescuing this one from a fate worse than death, actually. I think there's enough left in it to make it worthwhile of putting some effort in. And so what is it? Sorry about the wind noise, but it's been whipping up the last week or so. We got a little bit of a break, and then it's wintertime again. It's late May. It is a Honda, surprise, VT500FT. I think I got that right. And yeah, it's the same motor as the Shadow, and there's an E model in Europe that's an upright bike like this. I have most of the pieces that are not there. The PO has not brought me some of the plastics that yet, but we'll get to that. And it has had a bit of a tough life, and I'm just noticing, I think those handlebars are a little bit tweaked. And I'll look at that later. Anywho, so I walked around it, well, back up. I went to look at this in a nasty rainstorm that we had over a week ago. And the place I had to go up in the hills, let's just say, I mean, I was running alongside a swollen creek that was threatening to come out of its banks and cover the road. I was hydroplaning all over the place. Yeah, it was up in the middle of let's just say God's country. And I was standing out in the rain looking at this thing, and under a golf umbrella, and talking to the guy, a really nice dude. And we made a deal, and he offered to kind of push the deal. He offered to ride it here the next day when the weather would clear up, and I said, yeah, okay, sure. So here it is. So it can't be too awfully messed up because he rode it, I heard it run, and it seems to work okay on the road. I mean, it moved, it got here. I think the engine and transmission's okay. I don't think there's any big issues there. Don't know exactly how many miles on it. It says about 10,000. Looking at the front brake, I am thinking it's more like about 30 or 40,000. You know, assuming that pads are worn down or somebody wore them way down and the disc is kind of, might have a hard time getting one, so I might just give that one a grind and go with it. One thing I noticed right off, even though it was up on the center stand, the back wheel tire is hard against the ground. And I puzzled over that because, well, the common sizes that they put on these things nowadays, because this dates, it's an 84, by the way. This dates to the point where they were changing over to metric tire sizes. So the equivalents are they're both 18s, is a 190 and a 120 90, which actually are probably just a teensy bit shorter than the 3.5 and 4.5, I think the book calls for. So I'm wondering, why the heck is this tire on the ground when this back tire isn't even a 120, which most people seem to use, and that's what the size translates to. This has got a 110 on the back of it. And I dug and I dug and I dug on the interwebs and finally figured out that these shocks, although they look right, they're Honda shocks. They're from the right period. These are 14-inch shocks center to center. And this bike is supposed to have 13-inch shocks center to center, or something roughly in that range, give or take a quarter of an inch. And that's why the tire's sitting hard on the ground. So those have got to go, and I'm gonna see if I can get some good used ones from the usual place. It's been repainted. you know, very casually repainted, I have to say. It's got all this mess here. And looking at some of the nooks and crannies, like over there, I could tell this was not a red one. I mean, a black one. It was actually the red variation. And see what I mean? It doesn't even have 10K on it yet. This came up broke somewhere. The guy was shocked that that was broke. Imagine a tree limb fell on it or something other in his yard. I don't know. The earlier model did not have the fuse block here. It was in the normal place. And if this fuse block is just on a long cable, I may just move the damn thing back here and have nothing in here like in the middle like the other bikes do. I mean, the later bikes do. And also there's a variation of this called, yeah, I think those bars are tweaked slightly. There's a variation of this called an I think it's an FE. No, it's an FT. That's a single cylinder with two exhaust pipes coming out of the cylinder, as was common practice back in those days, and one for each exhaust valve. So as you can see, the key switch is totally missing, and we got wires hanging out here. And so that presents a problem. I've got a I don't know how he's putting gas in this thing. I need to ask him. So I've got to get one of those switches and then key it alike, if I can, to these others. I mean, I can do that work. It's just a hassle having to figure out what key blank it is and all of that mess. I thought it was the same key blank as that guy over there. That's a 98. And there was some information even on the key blank manufacturer's website that alluded to that, but my key will not fit in here. It's the keyway is completely different. But then that doesn't shock me, because Honda must have 20 or 30 different keyways for the bike's key sizes, lengths, one-sided, two-sided. It's just a mess. The exhaust still looks pretty good. It needs a little touching up here. Nothing's massively corroded. I don't see anything rusted through. I'm probably going to change out the airbox if I can get one, because it's got that broken hole down there, and the foam element that's supposed to be in there is missing, but the modern equivalent is the cover has a paper element on the back of it. Yeah, there's the cover. The paper has a paper element that's actually glued onto the back of it, so it's in one piece. You throw the whole thing away. There's some hilarious stuff on here. Like, as they usually do, these turn signal stock, the flexi parts of them start never finish curing, and these are rotted out because somebody wrapped them up with tape. And they actually put these construction screws in here because I guess the stem pulled out of the back of it. I suppose, but I'm gonna take those off here shortly. I'm just piddling around with it a little bit here till I figure everything out. Like I said, it runs, but it doesn't run really great, and it's hard to start. So it's got the usual. I got to go through pull the tank off, blah blah blah. Go through the carbs, clean them out, the usual routine. I noticed when I let it sit over. Well, it actually hasn't been started since he pulled up here with it. So I checked the oil, and it's just basically got a tiny drip on the end of the stick. But I'm not too worried, because when you turn it over the starter, after a minute or so, yeah, it's going to be some cosmetic restoration, I guess. It's like somebody's been in there. That's not a place you really need to go into that much. I wonder why the hell it's chewed up with a standard screwdriver. You really don't do that. But like I said, I think I rescued this one right before it took a nosedive. The clutch is tight. It's got no free play. I got to back that up. There's all kinds of little crap like that. This cap is missing, and probably wouldn't be that hard to find one of those. I'm sure I've got to put brakes in it. Got the usual thing here. Somebody has put a standard screwdriver in these things, in these screws, and these are These are JIC screws. They are not Phillips. You got to use the right screwdriver. And buggered them up. I'm hoping I can get this cover open. If I destroy the screws, not a big deal. I can get more. It is cool in a couple of ways. For one thing, underneath these caps, right here, there's a Schrader valve. And Honda did this on quite a few things. My Interceptor way back in the day was, well, actually it was, come to think of it, it was the same year this thing is. I vaguely remember these sitting on the floor. More about that later. So you could put like a couple of 3 pounds of air, maybe I think it's, the maximum is about 5. Why exactly you want to do that, I'm not sure. What I've read in some of the forums is it's just don't even bother. It's not worth the effort. It tends to push oil out at the bottom if you do that. And yeah, these have got a bit of an oil film on them. The forks do. So it might be seal time, probably mostly from sitting around and nothing else. I see a lot of the ones that are over in Europe that have fork gators on them here, and it's a cool look. It's not like you have to do that around here because our winters are, you know, discourage bike riding for about 3 months, but so everybody just puts their bikes up and we don't ride in the slush, and they don't put that much in the way of chemicals, salt and whatnot on the road anyway, so you don't really see those eat up. But I've seen them with the gators, and the gators are just standard parts, so I'm very tempted to put gators on it just for giggles, if nothing else. So all of these are broken, so they've all got to be replaced. I'm kind of glad. I think they have. Well, take that back. I'm not sure which one of these is a stock mirrors. When I got it, this brake lever was bent in the usual like this, where somebody smacked it right here. But it looks like it just tipped over in a driveway or something like that. Yeah, these things never clear. And this is an aftermarket MGO mirror. So I'm going to see if I can get a matching pair of them. I'm not sure if this, it says Superbike GP on that thing. I'm not sure if those are either one the right mirror, or, you know, MGO. I mean, if this one is supposed to be the factory replacement one, I can get another one of them. This outfit makes a whole lot of bits and pieces for standard bits and pieces for motorcycles. Yeah, and there's this thing going on. I don't know what's up with that. It's like this didn't get all the way back in the can for some reason. So, and there's absolutely no bolt holding this on. It looks like these brackets are pinched in because it's supposed to have spacers in here. See, all kinds of little stuff like that I've got to sort out. Some guys have actually maybe even made their own brackets or pulled some brackets off of a newer bike that puts a round headlight on these, and just to give them a, well, more of a retro look probably, because, well, yeah, they went through that whole phase in the 80s and even into the 90s. This 98 has got a rectangular headlight on it. It's got a pretty good headlight on it too for a factory headlight. So that's something I might explore. I'm not sure, because this thing isn't ever going to be perfect. It isn't going to be a showpiece, no by a stretch of no imagination. But if I get a presentable, fun little ride out of it, because you know, I love that big guy over there and all that, but then there are times when you just want to take a bike that weighs about 400 pounds and has about 45 horsepower. Yeah, these things make some good horsepower. It's like 30 cubic inches makes 45 horsepower. And just putt around with it, you know, just zip around town with it, take it on short trips. So there's a lot of crap going on here. I don't know think this guy must have been a bit distracted when he put this back together, because these bolts are not lined up. These bolts are missing. This whole tail section is hanging out down here. I'm about to take this off because I need to get under there to get these things off, and I'm gonna take all 4 of them off and just chuck them in the bin. Oh yeah, they got their life out of the span out of the tires. Look at that. It is. Let me get up here with a bit of light. There is only the lightest hint of tread from there to there. Wow. Also tells me that was probably run a little bit low on air, because you know, when the front tire is probably going to wear out right. They usually do. They'll go thin right in here, and the tire's done. But then, well, and then on the rear, you probably heard my knees crack. Then on the rear, that dude is slick as my head, and I just shaved it yesterday. Somewhere on here, there's a big patch of thread showing through. Man, you know, I can't get away with that sort of thing. If I do that sort of thing, Anyway, so I'm gonna dump the fluids, and since this thing has fork drains on it, yay! I don't have to go up in here. Whoop, I don't have to go up in here and take the center bolt out to drain it. That's wunderbar. It's kind of cool having the offset forks in that case. Let me see, is there anything further of note? Don't know. I guess not right now. I'll as things go along and I figure out what the hell is going on here, and I'll give some further updates. This ought to be fun. This is kind of my piddle project during the early part of the year here. I'll slowly get it squared away and inspectable. It hadn't had an inspection on it in forever, I'm sure. The guy was running it really dirty. Yeah, but who am I to judge? All right, there's the new toy, as rough as it may be right in a moment. Till next time.